Yeah, exactly. Did you have a good Thursday?
No, not at all.
Neither did I.
Shitty Thursday. But
Oh my God. Yeah,
we're
I'm
here.
trying to put it behind me as best as
Yeah,
I
it's one of
can.
those ones. I'm like, holy fuck, I am home now. Thank God. So,
The clock hit 5. Like I was showering before I was done work and the clock hit 5 and I was like, okay, good. I'm
like
free.
Fred Flintstone when he goes down the brontosaurus back or whatever, flies out of work.
Yeah, yabba dabba do. 100%.
Oh, yeah. It's like you have to get punished for a long weekend. Like, oh, 4 days off. Here is
Yeah.
like just a soul crushing 8 hours for you. Enjoy.
My Monday was bad too, actually. My Monday was madness. And today was interesting too. So,
My Monday was
whatever.
weird because it was a doctor's appointment. They're like, yeah, we're going to operate on you in June. I was like, okay. And then they call me today. They're like, just kidding. We're going to do it next week. I'm
Really
like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
scary.
It's good. But
Yeah.
it's just funny how they're like, no, there's no way that we can get you in any earlier. Like, it's just, it won't happen. Okay. These things don't happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
psych.
Wow.
It's good because
How many days of recovery is it going to be? Do they tell you?
6 weeks of not lifting anything.
6 weeks. Wow.
So I told Sarah, I said, you better get used to taking the garbage out.
And the laundry. You can't do
Yep.
laundry anymore.
No, I literally just get to waddle around. But 2 weeks, I think I'll go back to work. So
Wow. That's not so bad. They used to shove like my dad has two, I think, on both sides.
yeah,
And they
that's
used
what
to
I think.
shove like Kevlar weave in there. That's what he
It's
used to do.
actual Gore-Tex now, like
Yeah,
Gore-Tex
yeah.
brand. Like the doctor's like, no, like it's literally Gore-Tex brand that I'm putting in you. Like, sweet.
Wow.
I should get
That
like
guy
a
just
deal at
died,
Bass Pro
too.
Shop when I go in now. Be like, bro, I am Gore-Tex. 20% off, please.
More can't be more sponsored than that, pretty much.
It's true.
That's wild.
It's like, I like you so much, I
scary.
put you in me.
Is that gonna make the cut? I don't know.
Probably
Oh,
not.
God.
Anyway.
I think it could.
Yeah.
For episode 4, as I sprung on you 2 minutes ago, I was thinking this week for me especially has been the power of like making friends on whatever platform you choose to be a content creator on. For us, Twitch obviously is primary.
Right.
And yeah, I think like a lot of the before you and I ever went live, I started looking at like the Harris Hellers and all those kind of big names, and I think they skipped right past this kind of stage where in order to be at least somewhat recognized on your platform, like on Twitch especially because it's live, like you have to actually be present on there for some amount of time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
There's not a lot of like offline exposure if you're on Twitch specifically. If you stream on YouTube, you know, you're still part of the algo, you're still on there. It's still a collection, it's still YouTube. Same with Facebook, you know, you're still on a news feed. Twitch, like if you hit live, do your thing, and then you're done and you don't go visit anybody else, you don't go hang out with anybody, you're pretty much gone until you
Yeah.
pop back up. It's just the way it is.
mhm. It's been that was kind of especially after like a month or two of going live, you start realizing that like really you only have that one shot, not to be like Eminem punny, but you really only have that block of time. That's why it's so important to make that block of time like worthwhile, you know what I mean, for you and for your viewers. Like it's so like it comes and it goes. Like it's like fishing, you know what I mean? Like you either get a bite or you don't, and you need to be there at the right time.
Yeah.
And you need to be recognizable, because I remember with you like 2 months or so ago, like a lot of people were like, I didn't even know you streamed. Like that was
Yeah.
2 months ago.
I know.
Like,
Yeah. But that's, if you don't put yourself out there, then you're not out there. It's pretty plain and simple. And you
Yeah.
can't one of the bigger things that I've found is if you're not one of these naturals, like you said, that gets to kind of skips the early kind of foundation steps and kudos to them. They've got it. They're through, right?
Hmm.
But if you don't support others, why are you expecting reciprocal support back? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just,
Yeah.
it's for me, it's like, I've got to be part of a community and, part of this engine and how it works in order, if I expect some of that to come back to me, unless you get lucky, but it's,
Hmm.
a lot of it's networking and building connections and doing that sort of thing and making yourself familiar. Like, it's a big part. And, it might feel a little, sometimes you don't want to jump right in. It's kind of hard to make yourself known, but there's a lot of good people out there that are usually pretty like-minded, and it's just it's a really easy thing to do.
Yeah, like I was thinking about that even today with me, like with streaming Satisfactory. I'm like, I need to make more friends in this block of like, if I want to continue on here, I need to start making friends in this niche.
Absolutely.
Um, because I guess for some reason you kind of ignore the most obvious things when it comes to a lot of things in life and in streaming too. And um, yeah, I kind of realized yesterday and today, I'm like, I need to start making friends in this field if that's where I want to be, right? And that's something I wish I had done when I had, like I wasn't even affiliate. Like I wish
Yeah.
that I had done the time, like done the hard time and made friends.
Yeah, it's true. Like, the idea of friends for a lot of people that you meet online isn't, the people that haven't been part of those communities don't really get it. But we're all looking for the same thing at the bottom of it all. And though you might be like, for me, I was like, I lurked and everything at the beginning. I'd just hang out. I wouldn't say anything. Then, you start like throwing a hi out there or whatever. Or if you hear something that you can bring some value to the table. Like if you hear someone comment, like you said, like Ma with her lighting or something like that. If you hear something you can comment on, or if somebody's talking, I know for me, a couple times people will be talking about sports and they're like, oh, I can't remember what team that is. And you just type it in there. Oh, thanks, Father Millennial, for that or whatever. And it's just those little things. You kind of gets the ball rolling, and then you realize that Twitch is, for the most part, a community streaming platform. Everybody's not streaming to 50,000 people where nobody gets seen. A lot of
Hmm.
streamers will take the time to talk to you, and their communities are looking for new friends, like you said.
Yeah.
So it's, you gotta put yourself out there.
Yeah, even a couple larger communities that I've seen, they still have that same fundamental like support network that's been there from the start, which is why it's so important that when you do start, that those fundamental people that are in there shape your community accordingly. You know what I mean? Because if you shape it out to be super toxic really early on, no one's going to want to say anything, right? And
No,
then you don't
exactly.
get that community, and then you're basically a streamer who allows for like pure toxicity in your chat at all times, and you're going to spin your wheels for an amount of time because of that, for real. Because like I thought about this too, is like Twitch is kind of like, it's just a chat room. Like remember back in the day we used to just like join chat rooms like
Chat
IRC
pit.
chats or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I can't even remember the sites, but
Yeah.
you just join a chat and there'd be like 90 people in there, and like after a few nights, like people would recognize like, oh hey, whatever, like whatever the hell my name was way back then. And then
Yeah.
um that's kind of what Twitch is. Like you can't forget that. Like you have a video camera and you're kind of like putting on a show, but at the end of the day, on the side is still a chat room that you've enabled and created in some fashion and steered either positively or negatively, really.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it was you that said that with a lot of stuff, the game's the side dish. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of, now that I know people and stuff like that, if the people that I would consider friends that I've met in here, and it's a community that I'm part of, I'll hang out with them in a game I don't play. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because a lot of times I'm there for the conversation. The game's, it's nice, it's visually appealing, it's there, but you're there for the community. That's the building block.
Yeah.
That's what I consider the foundation, is the people. Because yourself, it's a hell of a lot easier to do when you've got friends there and people talking to you and supporting you, than it is just being yourself, sitting silently playing a game with a camera on, which you could be doing on your couch without all of this. If you're not working on that community, what are you trying to do, I guess, is kind of
Hmm.
my thing anyway. And that's just a personal view, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, but it, like the more active your chat is, like like in oh god, what's it called? Like the streamer pipeline, like the pipeline guys, they say like
Yeah.
very basic things like, oh, like continue the conversation and just keep talking. And and talk about, and like when we were early on, man, like we were getting beat up, you know what I mean? Like literally talking to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But like, look at your chat now, especially my chat's doing pretty good, but like your chat is like off the rails at all times now. And there's always something that you can speak to. And that makes the visual part and you as an entertainer so much more valuable, right? Because there's a rolling conversation and you're digging deep into this stuff. And that's something that we weren't able to do before we had a little kind of chat community to reflect it off of, to bounce back,
Yeah.
who you really are.
No, absolutely. And that kind of lets you form your channel and your community as well. If there's people that are letting you, you're bouncing stuff off each other, they learn a little bit about you. They get to see how you interact. You learn little things. You might find a similarity between a person that'll bring them back, or you might find, I might find something between a viewer that I click their profile after and I'm like, oh, they stream, and I'll give a follow and go check them out. It's it's a lot better with people. It's a lot better with people, even if it's just a few. Even if you got one person chatting with you, it's a lot better, because talking to yourself can get hard. Yeah,
it's like 100,000,000% better.
Literally, yeah.
Just talking to yourself, and it's hard to get discouraged when you don't have that chat, because then you're sitting there like, yeah, I'm fully spinning my tires right now, and it's really tough to just talk to yourself.
Yeah.
It's not so bad when you're playing a game where you can explain things. That's what I find I'm able to do pretty well.
Yes, for sure.
Because like no one's in your head, they might be in your stream, but they're not fully in your head. They don't know what you're trying to do, especially with more complex games, which is why DJ Aki does well. I can't understand him because he speaks German, but I can tell that he's explaining a lot of the stuff in German, and he holds a very high viewership because he's descriptive, he talks to chat, and he's got that, that dialed in, whether he notices it or not.
Right.
Which brings me right into kind of like the second point I had for us is, once you get that foot in the door, start making peers, start making friends with people that stream specifically. It's so important to find people that are even at your level, slightly below your level, slightly above your level. It's so important to do that. Like, it's ridiculously important, because those people, as they grow, either directly or indirectly, will bring you up as well. You know what I mean? Like you and Strike, for example. Like, I don't know if Strike's full Twitch career. I know he's been streaming for a while, longer than us, but I've seen him in the window that I've seen him gain success, kind of in a parallel trajectory to you. Whether that's directly related, I don't know, but I think that seeing things like that, and seeing those parallels is a massive thing for you and for us.
Yeah, when I first rated Strike, like I've told on this podcast before, just a few of us, he bounced a joke off me about only having a couple viewers, and I bounced a joke off him about only bringing literally like me and you and Mike in. And, it just kind of, we started riffing. It was 2 o'clock in the morning in this chat. And I'm even like, I didn't know him from a hole in the ground. I found him. I said, I'm going to raid someone with the same amount of viewers as me. And I did. And, I hung out for half an hour or so. I was like, I like that dude. I'm going back. And he was kind of, he popped in on me. And that's what you said. You meet like-minded people. You see what they're doing. You bounce stuff off each other. You form a relationship. And then, you get to a point where you're running an event together or something like that. Or you spend time hanging out. And you pull in different friend groups. I've met fantastic people through Strike Stream, like a couple really, really, well, more than a couple. I've met some really good people that I never would have experienced if I didn't take the time to get to know him. And our growth, like you said, I would say it's parallel. We both are in a good place. We're doing good things. Things are positive. We have fun together. And that's just one person. That's just one. I've met tons of people through raids like that. I'm just thinking in my head, all these names are popping up.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's getting in there. It's making friends. Maybe if you raid someone bigger, like you had said before we started, it's making friends and mentors as well. Sometimes you throw one of those raids to the bigger people. You watch how they handle it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, So how are they reacting to this raid? What are they doing? Okay. And then you kind of learn a little things, and then, you start to watch them because you pick up little things here and there that, you bring to your stream. And I found, like me, a lot of my mentors have become friends through this process. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just funny how it works.
Yeah, and there's always something to learn off somebody big or small, which is what
Absolutely.
the crazy thing about like us streaming and stuff is now I'm seeing it kind of everywhere, is like there are lessons to be made from all walks of life, so to speak. But one thing I learned yesterday I found was pretty interesting was I think Mr. Tislor posted it. I think he ended up by accident in the Preacher Guy's Twitch. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So he meant to type Preacher, which I will put in the podcast, but he ends up on the Preacher Guy, who's playing Apex Legends as well. The interesting thing that he said when he was in there and I followed, he goes, "Oh, like, hey, Mr. Elliott, like, where, like, what brings you here? Like, how did you learn about me?" And I was like, he actually, like, that added like this tiny just building block to like the idea of like, okay, he's asking like, where did you find me is what he's trying to say, but he's trying to say it nicely. And it's like, you're doing market research at that point. You're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, right? Did you find me on TikTok? Did you find me on Twitter? Did you find me on Instagram? Did you find me scrolling through Twitch? You know what I mean? And those different things mean like very different things. You know what I mean? Like whatever answer I had, and the answer was, to be honest, like my buddy typoed somebody's name and ended up here. So totally random, but it's a very interesting thing that I'll have to put in the pocket, because it's a crazy good way to kind of find what works and what doesn't work for you, like maybe, oh, I found you through a raid when you raided someone yesterday, and you're going to think, yeah, okay, well, clearly these raids work and I know that, so
yeah,
there's huge value there.
Yeah, some of it's just a chance meeting. A lot of these things, maybe somebody saw a word in your stream title that caught their eye. That's how I met Deep. I had no fast travel, like I had said in a previous stream, and he's like, no, this dude's not doing that. And that's how we met. It was that easy. And I can't really think off the top of my head of more people, but off the cusp things, especially with Twitch, you said if he's trying to figure out how you got there, that's a big part of having a Twitch specific account. Like, what brought you in? Because it's really hard to get discovered within Twitch. So, like you said, did you see a TikTok I made? Did you read a tweet? Did you see me comment on someone's tweet? Did you see an Instagram thing? Like, what is working to get people over here? Because I find that is one of the harder things with Twitch, because a lot of it is pretty disconnected, as far as like, I could make a million memes on Instagram and I might get one person out of it over the whole time. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not an alien thing to be processing in your head, why are these people here? And you're not saying it to be rude, and you're honored to have every person in there that comes. But yeah, like, how'd you get here? It is kind of an interesting story to piece together.
Yeah, and it's like, I know a couple weeks back I was watching Nicewig play Apex. Actually, he was like kind of shoutcasting Apex. He had 5,000 people in the chat, and he's like, "Hey, I'm done. Like, I don't stream that late today, so I'm gonna raid somebody." And he's looking through the list, and then eventually he's like, "Oh, I saw this guy on Twitter comment on a post. Saw his name come up today. He looks cool." He hits this guy. He has 9 viewers, right? He hits this guy with 5,000 viewers, right?
Yeah.
That's your Cinderella, your fairy tale story, but that's where that visibility of these other platforms, which I had to slap myself in the face yesterday and finally get my Twitter together and finally get a couple things together, because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm fully just lying to myself, like we spoke about in like episode 2. Like,
yeah,
don't lie to yourself, man. You need to be on these other platforms, and you need to be visible to people.
Even if Twitter won't let you fix your typos, which I don't understand at all.
It's
but
annoying.
Anyway, but still, I'm getting the hang of it. I just have to delete like 4 tweets a day, or just leave them and own it. I'm like, you know what? It's staying. I don't care. Your platform is ridiculous for this. Like, let me fix the typo.
Yeah.
But
my biggest problem, sorry, I was just going to say, my biggest problem with Twitter is like, I don't think it's that, in Canada, I don't think it's that heavily utilized, unless you're talking sports.
Yeah, I really don't know. Like, I'm I'm not
Yeah.
a tweeter guy. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there. And it's, I've met some people through it, or at least I recognize people on it that I've seen in Twitch, that I've seen in people's chat. And I'm like, oh, they're a streamer because they might not have mentioned. I'm going to go check them out kind of thing. Like, I find that's just the one that's kind of connected the most for me outside of Twitch, I would say.
Yeah. The problem I have with Twitch is things like, let's say, for instance, with you next week, like you're having an operation done and you're potentially going to be out for multiple days. Thankfully, you're streaming tonight so you can inform those people, right?
Right.
But think about the people that only follow you on Twitch.
Yeah. I don't have
How
any
are
way
you-
to put that out to them, no.
None, unless you what? You make a video, like a highlighted video on your page and they click
Yeah,
you when
or
you're offline.
if you edit your schedule, but to be honest, not many people actually click the schedule
No.
tab from speaking from personal experience, I never click it.
Yeah.
I just
Like,
turn
I
the bell on for people I want to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why one of my big complaints for Twitch is like there's no activity feed. There's no like how is there no Twitter for Twitch? Like how is there no embedded platform where you can go comment on videos, really like this stream,
Yeah,
Go
comment on
Sloth
VODs
Crew.
and stuff, or comment on clips after.
It's baffling, man.
Especially
How
when the
can you
main
not share it?
competition, yeah.
You
Like,
can't share a clip to your own page and be like, look at what my buddy did yesterday. Like
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's a head scratcher for me, man. Like it really, and that's where Twitter comes in. That's why people are on Twitter, is because there is no, hey, check out this clip. This clip's really good. Because if I clip something that's really cool to me and I want my viewers to see it, they're never gonna click that. I have to put it on my Twitter, and then I have to share it or post or tweet. Sorry, tweet on Twitter for the subset of my followers that are actually following me on Twitter, right? Which is, if I'm lucky, 5% of my followers are on my Twitter.
Yeah.
So I have 5% of my visibility on a clip
Yeah.
that might be really cool.
That's
Like
right. Yeah.
it's troubling for me.
That's
It
why you
annoys
see
me.
people like that's why you notice like with Flotsam how he does his tips, like his YouTube tips, and he plugs it a lot and he does it every day, because the same thing for someone like him that plays a fast-paced game and does this and people learn a lot from, he's trying to find a platform to put that out on, because like if you look at his YouTube views, they have way more views than the clip itself. He said because he's
Okay.
putting it on a platform that has that
Mhm.
built into it. Like you said, there isn't really that sort of thing for Twitch, which is kind of annoying considering their main competition is what, YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
Which both have that. Even YouTube does. It never did. It does now. And there's still, you can comment on streams that have passed. And I mean, Facebook obviously has that completely figured out. So it is
Yeah.
kind of, that's a bugaboo with Twitch for sure. But, I think it makes up for it in some other areas. But that one does bother me. Like, I want people to experience this content on the platform I streamed it on without me having to take it off, put it into something else, process it, find that time to do it, and then put it up on something when it could have just been on my channel already. Like, I just feel like that's a lot of unnecessary steps that
Yep.
take a lot of it out of me, and it's where I, as a content creator, lack, because I don't have time to do it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I wish the video was just there, ready to go. If there's something I want to show people, it's a lot of work to get it out to show them if they're not in there watching me.
Yeah, 100,000,000% cannot agree more. And that's where I think YouTube has started to do, well, I think it's been like 2 or 3 years now, where if you're a YouTuber, you can post, like you can create a status. What used to be called a status on Facebook, remember? Remember it used to say, what did it say? What are you
Is.
thinking about?
Yeah,
Or
what are you-
is.
Yeah, what are you
is.
thinking about? And then it
Yeah.
would be like Julian is. Like it had is in
Yeah,
there.
it had
Everything
an
was
is.
prefixed by is. Yeah.
Wow,
That was-
nostalgia.
yeah, Stone Age, Fred Flintstone shit. Again.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's something that YouTube is now allowed, and it's even though I don't think that streaming on YouTube is probably the best bet right now, like the moves they're making is creeping up for sure, because stuff like that is so annoying. Like, yeah, like I think Twitch, pardon me, still has things like raids that other platforms don't have. Gifted subs apparently are things that YouTube doesn't have. I don't have all the facts in front of me, but I know those are the two big ones that I can think of. No gifted subs, no raids. So
Yeah, and I find with Twitch, like the compact nature of the advertising and finding people. Once you put a small group together, I find it more tight knit because it's a more segregated platform as far as where you get your stuff from the person you're watching. So okay, the five or 10 people that enjoy me are going to hop in here because they all want to be in there at the same time and enjoy it, because when I click stop, it's over. You know what I mean? And that's where on YouTube, like I know with me, if I'm watching Doc or someone like that, Doc and Z playing, and I'm like, I don't have time, I'll just watch it tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? But very rarely on Twitch do I say, I don't have time, I'll finish that VOD tomorrow. That's not something that I do. Unless it's my own, honestly, for the most part.
Yeah.
It's so much easier on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I like, as you get bigger, I think you get into the whole like you get way better at recording your VODs, cutting your VODs and slapping them on YouTube. Like a lot of these guys are doing daily videos. And I could see if you quit your job and you just streamed and you took a huge risk, that you could do that. You 100% could do that. You'd have the time. But to have a real job, and well, not a real job, but like a real life job, and to stream and to do daily videos is next to impossible unless you're paying someone else to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Unless you're really, really good at video editing, which I'm not at this point. Like I have fun doing the podcasts and stuff and, adding in little things, but the more I use it, the less I like it. I'm just not like I've forced myself to get good at it, but I still hate doing it. A lot of it.
I think if your passion is in editing and stuff like that, it can be a very tedious process. And I think that's where a lot of it gets lost in the mix, because of actually, to get talking about the same people again, but this is the circle we're in with Avij, like talking about it, because I'm like, man, you're such a wealth of knowledge for this game. Like your guides and stuff like that have really helped me and a lot of people, and you do it so well. And he's like, yeah, but then I have to the same thing. Then I have to take time to be off. I have to record the video. I have to process it. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it's just like he said. He's like, I would love to do it, and I'm anticipating he will. But it takes time, like you said. And everybody's got the same 24 hours in a day, and it's sometimes hard to balance all that. So even the people that are thinking about it and know that it's a viable option, sometimes it's still hard to squeeze everything that you have to do into a week. It really is. So until you can get help or afford to get help, because editing isn't cheap. It's a hard gig, like you said, like we were just talking about. So you can't just really click live for the first time and then be like, all right, I'm going to hire an editor. It's not feasible. So
yeah, there's a dude, I'll have to pull his name up after, but he was in somebody else's chat basically saying, because he had hit a partner and he had 8,000 follows, I think, and his average view count was like over 100. And he said, I just started paying an editor to do my videos.
Yeah.
And I assume he's been streaming for like close to 2 years.
Yeah.
And like because he's like, editors are just so expensive that this is what I'm forced to do. Like I was, he's basically forced to, kind of build himself and build the YouTube by himself until he could afford to pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was in another stream where a guy said, it was Nicewig. He said, my high school buddy does all my videos for me. And that's so clutch to have something like that where
yep.
He can basically take his videos or take his clips, or what I assume is, since he runs 2 PCs, the dude has full access to the other PC. So as soon as he's done streaming, he can basically grab the video files, like the raw video files, take them over to his PC, and then do it from there, like seamlessly. Yeah. And then he has full access to his YouTube, and then he's pounding them out to YouTube,
right?
To keep up with that YouTube algorithm that I know very little about. But he was ranting. Yeah. He was ranting about like doing daily videos. He's like, the way the YouTube algo has went, he said, if you're not doing daily videos, don't expect to come out and go trending and go, be on page
the code. 1. Yeah, exactly. It's like whatever that movie is, like a Good Will Hunting moment there on the chalkboard.
Yeah, effectively. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of depressing, but
yeah, it is. But it's it's the grind. You hear a lot of people talk about the grind. It's there's a lot more to it. And I think this has hit every episode. There's a lot more to it than just sitting down and playing a video game. You know what I mean? You can sit me here in a green shirt and then a black shirt over top of it, and you can hear me saying the same thing. There's a lot more to it. I'll say it next week. There's a lot more to it than just sitting here playing a game.
Yeah, there's only 24 hours in a day. We might hear that one in episode 5 as well.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend.
You know what else I wanted to kind of random? That's like,
hit me.
This was a few minutes ago, but I was gonna say, I thought about who is it that does this? I think his name's Presley. He's another. I watch a lot of Apex streams for some reason, but Presley, when you do an exclamation mark sense for like the mouse sensitivity that he uses, the command replies back to you with a video, but it's not a clip on Twitch. It's a clip on YouTube that he's put up. And I'm like, that is genius. Like, you've basically said, oh, you want to watch a video? Well, you're not watching it. You're not watching it on Twitch. You have to go to my YouTube to watch the video. And I'm like, that is genius.
Bridging the gap. Yeah.
Bridge the gap, man.
Yeah.
And it's so minor. That is so minor. And to someone else that is not streaming or is new, that would go clean over their heads. And they might be like, okay, I have to go to YouTube, big deal. But that is genius, because 1 in 20, 1 in 30 are going to hit the subscribe button on his YouTube, right? And
For sure.
You've been able to bridge the gap. And it's like, it blew my mind. Like, I was like, that is so minor, but it is so massive, right? And that's those little things that you only learn once you've been kind of in the game for a few months.
Well, that's what I talk about. That's why you have the eye for it. That's why I'm like, damn, I would have never noticed that. You know what I mean? But you know, everybody has their strengths, and one of yours has always been picking out the subtleties of things that people do, and they're there, and you have to have an angle and you have to have an eye for it. But if you want to get ahead, that's the way that this industry works as well. You've got to have an angle. You've got to have a clear avenue. You've got to have a path. You've got to have something that's different. You know, you've got to have something that's just a little bit different than everything else everybody's watching, if you expect to have a way to kind of weed your way through that.
Yeah, I mean, you also want to be like, that's why it goes back to, you know, make some mentors and make some peers, because you at least want to be as good as them, right?
Yeah.
And then, pardon me, you start picking up those subtleties and those little smart things that people are doing, and then that everybody else that is kind of way up there in the game are starting to pick up, and they're starting to do it too. Like with the Monster Cat, with you and Monster Cat's perfect example. It's like, you were like, oh, I don't know, should I do it? I'm like, man, it's definitely worth the risk, because it's $5 a month or whatever, or what is it, 5?
It's even cheaper now, with their new package.
Oh, like
that they're offering. Yeah,
the package. Sponsor us again. I'm putting it back up on the video. But yeah, it's just like those little things that build up, right? It's like grains of sand, but once not grains of sand, but it's kind of like coins in the pocket, I guess we'll say. Like, you have a couple more little things that you're able to add, and that goes back to when I was doing this in episode 3. That you want to talk about major steps, but there's those minor little steps that are in between that can bring you so much further, that that people are picking up on, that they don't make it onto a YouTube video. People aren't just like, hey, here's a minor little thing. You know, no one's gonna watch that. But if you listen to this podcast, you might be able to get a lot of free fucking information.
It's
I
true.
will say that.
No, I would agree. Like you said, that thing you said, like coins in the pocket, that's like the proverbial like old man eating an apple slice off a jackknife tells you, like, you put them nickels in a jar, you'd be surprised what you have at the end of the year, kind of thing. It's the same sort of thing, right? If you're watching a stream and you take a little tidbit from it and you bring it back to the table, once you add all those tidbits up, all of a sudden you've got yourself something.
Exactly. And like, here's one that I want to throw at you, is like, when I saw that dude's channel trailer, and I was like, man, this guy has such a legit channel trailer, and he has like, kind of like, his whole vibe is in the video. He's got his schedule up, and he just talks, and you're like, how can I not hit follow on this? It's so good, right? And like, that's just another little thing that you learn from visiting other people, that goes right back to make friends, make peers, make mentors. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to hammer it out more than that. That's what the title of episode's going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make friends, make peers, make mentors.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
You need to be in this game, and you need to be in this game with other people. And whether it's like you and I, but it's also, you know, myself and like Minami, for example. I go to his
Yeah.
streams and
Yeah.
I always learn little things from people, even though Minami might be a smaller streamer than me for now. That's why people go to you that are larger than you and they watch you, because they know that this guy might be onto something.
Yeah,
Like,
and
he
that's
might have little things we can learn.
for sure, and that's why it's reciprocal. You know what I mean? I would argue that every streamer is in this together kind of thing. This is a collaborative industry, and there needs to be growth and competition between people in order for it to excel.
Yeah.
And that's what you can learn. You could go on Twitch right now, scroll through it, find someone with one viewer and learn something from them. Absolutely. You can also learn something from Dr. Lupo. Do you know what I mean? Like, it all depends
Yeah.
what scale you want to look at. There's something that someone in every stream is doing that you're not. That might be
Yeah.
something that you should look at for sure. Absolutely.
Big time. Yeah.
But that comes back to the whole, building relationships. Like you said, that's the, make friends, make mentors. The relationships you build through the process are everything, and that's where your support comes from. And it's what pushes you to a point where you have some shit to talk about like this.
Yeah. And for God's sakes, be real. Don't do
Yes.
it just to be fake.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you
Like,
will crack, and it will come
yeah.
out.
That's all I'm going to say on that note.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's so much easier to just be yourself, and if people don't resonate with it, they don't. And that's,
Yeah.
that is what it is. You can click back and go find somebody that is. It's just,
Yeah.
it's hard
Like,
to keep up with an act.
Exactly. And like, there's also like different vibes, right? And people are not everyone's going to like your vibe. Like, I don't watch Nick Merckx. Like, the guy screams every day to
Yeah.
60,000 people.
Yeah.
I just don't
It's
like
just
that
not your
vibe.
thing. Yeah. And then like me, who's like, when I get my attention sucked in some of the stuff he does, I'm like, I'm right on it. Same with Z and them. Like, Z's like 100 mile an hour. And I'm like, yes. And then, but I also like a lot of chilled streamers too. It's all vibes. I saw in a chat today, someone's like, man, you just because this is someone, I'm not going to talk about it, but they're like, your stream's so chill. I love this. Like, I just worked all day. This is relaxing. Some people are so high energy, and I'm thinking like, yeah, you wouldn't like mine because I'm like the complete opposite direction, but that is what it is. Different strokes, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
for sure.
I think this has been a good talk, like a super good one, to be honest.
Yeah. It felt good.
Yeah, it was good to get that out there. It's good. Got a couple good rants in. But I do want to close it up. This is the Between the Lives podcast. This is episode 4. My name is Julian, also known as Mr. Elliott. And last week I messed up the order of things here. So this is Father Millennial or Nick, and I've also messed it up again.
You picked up on
but
that, did you?
I picked it up, and then I was
wasn't
thinking
gonna
on
say
it,
anything.
and then I did it again. So here we are.
Well, that is officially half the episode, so really now I don't know which way is right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll let you
I know,
riff.
that's-
You go with it. That's big
Oh.
thoughts right there.
That's Between the Lives episode 4. Ladies and gents, bye for now.
See you later.